guys, welcome back to another MMA Aviation video. Today we'll be doing a review of the brand new 2021 M1 Pro 14-inch MacBook. So, let's get into the review. So, opening the screen, well that's actually the wrong side. I do get a bit confused with the screen sometimes, so now if we open it up. And then we have the screen, which I'll show a bit more when it's turned on. So in order to turn it on, we can use Touch ID. With my other Apple products, such as my iPad Air 4th Gen, Touch ID doesn't work. Each time I turn on my iPad, I try like 4 times, so it doesn't work, and I have to enter my passcode manually. The good thing with this is I can just go and just press it and put my finger there, and it opens up. There we go. So this is how the actual MacBook looks like. It has quite a nice design. It's 14 inches, obviously. It replicates the MacBook Pro 16-inch in regards to the speakers on the side and the trackpad. The trackpad is apparently the same size as the M1 13-inch devices. There's a new keyboard design, though. It's kind of got bits in the middle that's black, and it's got like it's built into the keyboard instead of the keys being placed. It's like a whole keyboard component, and the rest of that's really fine, except the bezels have been dramatically reduced, and we've now got a notch there, which personally I'm fine with. It just means there's less bezels, so but that's something that they'll address in future devices, I guess. And as you can probably see, this device looks a bit thicker actually compared to the other MacBooks, but compared to the 13-inch M1, it is apparently 0.1, I think, or centimeters thinner, but I will double check that shortly. That's just because the other MacBook, it has like a sloped edge that recedes towards the ends, making, well, this one a lot wider at the edges, but going into the middle of the MacBook it's actually the same. So if we were to close this now and we put it on its back, it also has these little bits here which slightly increase the width of the device, but they mostly just elevate it, and it creates the ability for more air to be able to pass underneath the Mac, which helps to assist airflow into the fans and also just to generally cool down the computer. And now I'm just going to talk a little bit about the comparison towards the M1 MacBook Pros. A lot of people know a lot more information on that and just general specifics of that. While I'm doing it, I'm going to put my two 787s landing at Perth Airport. A video uploaded on my channel was shot in 4K. It's been uploaded in 4K 60 FPS as well, so I'll just play that in the background so that you can see it. Oh, the speakers on this thing are excellent. They are absolutely stunning. If we give a listen here, it may not be the best audio here, obviously, but if we skip forward a bit, this may not be the best. I'm hoping you can hear that. It's a very surround sound. It's a very good sound as well. It's got a perfect balance. But if we can now go on to some songs, many songs where you can tell a very big difference in the sounds and the sound quality, though some of those are copyrighted, so I'm just going to play the most popular songs of 2011 to 2021, so the decade made by NCS. So if we play it, well, it's going to be the start of the song, so we'll skip kind of to the middle where we get the best sounds. I'll turn it up to full. It is very loud, and it can go like right down to very low, and obviously muted as well. And if we put it to something else. But yeah, basically it has very good speakers. I'm gonna probably cover that in another video. Get this as a general review, so let's move on. But yeah, here's just a little something, as I said I would play while I'm telling a bit more about the specifications. Oh, I can hear that amazing audio. Let's just turn it down. So first of all, this specific MacBook Pro is the Apple M1 Pro with an 8-core CPU, 14-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. So basically it's a base model of the 14-inch MacBook Pro. It's obviously got 16GB of unified memory, which is also RAM, and a 512GB SSD, and it comes with a 67-watt USB-C charger, but if you're buying online, I highly recommend you upgrade to the 96-watt charger, since it will be able to charge your device a lot faster. Or you can spend an extra $300 in your device to receive that charger for free, which is not worth it in my opinion. It features a 14-inch liquid Retina XDR display, which I'm pretty sure features mini LEDs on it. There are also 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the device, an HDMI port, and an SDXC card slot, and a MagSafe 3 slot. So yeah, MagSafe, magnetic charging on the side, you get a braided cable, which is something very good for Apple. But of course, they're moving away from USB-C, which is a more kind of generic thing, and they're going to their own cable. So you need to buy it for the MacBook, and you can only use it for the MacBook. The MagSafe is good. I think it's too strong though, magnetic, because if you were to tip it over, you'd still damage the device. It's got 4 USB-C ports and a Thunderbolt port. None of those take a normal USB-A though. It's got a headphone jack and an SD port as well. And obviously it's got a backlit Magic Keyboard with Touch ID in it. So how much better is this? Well, apparently it's better than the i9 11th Gen, according to many benchmarks and tests. So that basically means it is the best in the industry, which I don't really fully understand and can't really comprehend, but that's okay. But to be exact, it is 14.2 inches, an extra 0.9 inches from the MacBook Pro 13-inch, the M1 2021. And that one had a Retina display. This one has a liquid Retina XDR display. And this one obviously you can get with the M1 Max Pro or the M1 Pro chip. The Pro chip being the better of the two. And the M1 Pro is available on the 16-inch. I don't think you can buy the M1 Pro on the 16-inch. Let me just verify that right now. Sorry, I was actually incorrect. Yes, you can buy the M1 Pro on the 16-inch. Yeah, and it even comes with a 140-watt charger, so it has even faster charging. The battery life on these are apparently quite a bit lower. I think 1 hour less than with the M1. So it kind of just can't fit in a overnight or like a 12-hour charging. And of course it goes up to 64 gigabytes RAM, 8 terabytes, all those things. It claims to be up to 17 hours of battery life, compared to 20 hours with the last year's model and 10 hours with the Intel model. But yeah, using it normally, that'll kind of probably go down faster, but I will be doing some tests on that, of course, as well. One thing, though, I'm personally very unhappy about is the removal of the touch bar. I know some applications couldn't use them, and there may be more function keys, having the function keys, but for the touch bar, there were specific things like you could turn up like exposure and photo editing in videos. You could do more specific things to the program. The person I talked to in Apple even said there was a button you could kind of program it to do. You could set your own kind of preset things to remove YouTube ads, so you could skip through the ads quicker by doing that instead. So I can get that some people didn't like it. I do think that people are just kind of going with everyone else when they say they don't like it. But yeah, I do think it could have been beneficial to maybe have both options, or even go half and half, so that you could have kind of half in a touch bar and half as another, but yeah, whatever. Some other things Apple claim to have added is a hardware accelerated H.264 and a HEVC kind of, well, including ProRes, like a video decode engine, but I've tested it and it doesn't seem like that really makes a big difference to it. They just kind of claim the stuff. And apparently it's up to 400 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth, but I have yet to see anything similar to that. And with the display, it's just 3024 pixels by 1964 pixels, and it's also got 120 hertz, although you cannot set it permanently to 120 hertz. It's going to be adjusting itself, which is something that I personally hate. I should be able to have the ability, if I want to change it to what I want, but no. Okay, so we're going to move on from the specs very soon, but height is actually 1 centimeter shorter than the 13-inch MacBook Pro from last year. So yeah, the 14-inch one is 1 centimeter shorter, which I don't really, may just be with the smaller bezels. Width-wise, it's about an extra 0.8 centimeters in width. Depth-wise, it's also 0.12 centimeters less. And weight-wise, it is 1.61 kilos, an extra 0.21 kilos from the 13-inch model. They've also upgraded the camera, but let's be honest, who's going to use a camera here unless you're doing some video calls or whatever, from a 720p camera to a 1080p camera. And as you can tell, they've upgraded the speakers better. There's also kind of head tracking. If you buy AirPods, it will see where you are. So example, if you have your head like here and you were to move your head and the sound's coming from here, you move your head and the sound will come from there, so it kind of go around with you. So instead of you being here, the audio here, and then you moving and the audio staying in the same place, the audio would kind of move around you so you could feel like you're in a cinema. It also says there's up to 11 hours of wireless web browsing, whereas the 13-inch model had 17 hours. So it's 6 hours less. It's like over 50% less of that. So the 14-inch compared to the 13-inch, it's actually 50% more battery if you were to buy the other model. But yeah, that's basically it. Let's take a look at the device a bit further. But yeah, if we just look at it with the screen open, it's pretty much a normal Mac, except the redesigned screen, but apart from that, the actual computer itself is the same. We could do some exporting testing and things like that, but we kind of need something to compare it to. I've done exporting for my 14-minute 4K 60 FPS video. It took about, I believe it was 15 minutes to export, so it's actually not too bad. That was in Final Cut Pro as well. Yeah, it seems to be running really smoothly. Actually, I've even been able to open X-Plane, something that will run at literally 1 frame per minute on my GT710 on my computer. It just keeps on getting worse and worse. At the start, you make it 4 frames per minute, and then it just gets worse and worse, and it's literally unbearable. If you don't believe me, you can go watch my stream about that. This thing here runs at pretty much stably. You obviously can't have it like on full graphics, running so smoothly, but it does still run very smooth. You still get like 20 frames a second, which is brilliant performance for this particular device, and any device in general as well. Battery life has been going down fairly quickly, to be honest, but I've been like doing it at full brightness for videos like these and exporting things, so that's kind of okay. And yeah, the only thing is apparently you shouldn't shut it down each day, and that's what I kind of do whenever I go to school or sleep. I'll shut down my iPad fully and other devices. I have just shut down the screen though overnight and decided to try that, even though that really irritates me, and in the end I shut it down the next day. But and the battery life, it went down about 1% overnight, which is actually nothing, and apparently it just does some things overnight. But now, there's not really too much more to show you. I'm not sure. I've been trying to find out things. Be sure to suggest something in the comments if you want. But now we'll be doing a comparison between the MacBook, my Microsoft Surface Pro, and my computer. So in order to make it fair, let's look at the specs of each device respectively. So here is the CPU on my computer, the proudest spec of the whole computer. We also have 8GB of DDR3 RAM. And our GPU is a NVIDIA GeForce GT710. I know, it's brilliant, isn't it? Moving on to my laptop, we have a Intel Core i5 8th gen. It's got a U, I'm not too sure what that means. CPU. On the RAM side, we have 8GB of what I believe is DDR4 RAM. And on the GPU of a Intel UHD graphics 620, which is kind of an integrated graphics. Well, it is an integrated graphics as far as I'm aware, but it also runs more smoothly than my computer. I was able to get X-Plane at about 10 frames per minute, so it was relatively quicker. At one stage, I think we got like 1 frame per second or something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do across the devices is I've downloaded my first MacBook review video. I've put them onto all my computers, and I'm going to export them in Adobe Premiere Pro with exactly the same settings, starting at the same time. Everything's basically equal, except the fact that my MacBook Pro is newer, and obviously my computer's old. It's like 7 years old. And then, of course, the specs of each device are different as well, but all of the variables will be controlled to the same limit, basically. It was quite costly since obviously I bought Final Cut Pro. Now I've had to buy Adobe Premiere Pro to run this, but let's get into it. Come on, really? And while I wait for that to load, I just have to say, be sure to let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a review, like a full review across all of these devices, or even some more devices potentially as well. Another upside though with the Mac took about, I believe it was 12 minutes to download Premiere Pro. My Microsoft Surface Pro was about 40 minutes as well. And it's not opening. It said it would update, and it just decided to quit on me, and now it's restarting again. So it's being really annoying. So it's been about 25 minutes, and it still won't let me sign out for some reason now. Okay, so long while later, we are finally ready to commence. So let's get to exporting these clips. Funny thing before we export it though, if I go to it and play it, it's not too bad actually, but it will freeze at some point. So there we go, it's already lagging. If we go across to the MacBook, well, first of all, we can notice the better speakers and the better screen. If we play it, well, let's actually play a bit where it's moving, such as here. Play. Stop, play, stop, play. It's working almost perfectly. And now if we go across to the computer, it's been sitting there for a while, so it should be working well. What? How's it working now? Oh, now it is working, but it never does that. That's strange. But let's get to exporting it now. For some reason it doesn't come up on the MacBook, the export button, so let's find that. Only thing is I press export down here, and then, let's find it. I press media, and Nothing happens. Oh, now it happens. What a coincidence. So initially it came out with Apple Pro errors, which is something I literally have no clue about. But going to be in H.264 and all, on YouTube 4K, Ultra HD, 60 FPS too. So the laptop and the, Surface Pro and the PC were quite laggy when I was actually trying to get to the export page, but the other device is all fine, so we'll probably go ahead. Let's actually start the export first, and then we'll go to the thing, to the stopwatch. But obviously I'm not going to do super cool filming of me clicking the button since I need to be in good time, so. Really? Come on. There we go. Exports. Exporting, there we go. Turn down the brightness on that. So, MacBook says 15 minutes, or 16 minutes. Surface Pro says error, which we'll try fix. So the Surface Pro is being super laggy right now, but look at that, 1 hour 13 on the PC, and about 15 minutes on the MacBook. Okay, so as a bit of an update, we're 4 minutes 47 seconds in. The Microsoft Surface is still not working. So there was an error within the first 20 seconds of the video, so I trimmed that off. Still not working though. So MacBook's currently 34%, and it seems dead silent. We'll feel the temperature of it later. And the PC is sitting on 1 hour 13 minutes, and it's as noisy as a jumbo jet. Here's the noise of it. So we're about 10 minutes in. I'm trying the Surface again. It still won't work. I've tried to lower the frames, but there's still nothing. I really don't know why though. I have no clue why. Alright, so I've tried everything, restarting, redoing the Premiere Pro. That took forever and everything. It's still saying error to compile, error compiling movie, error export error, error completing render. So yeah, I've tried everything. It's not going to work, so we're just going to have to forget this right now. You're really stupid, Surface Pro. Goodbye. So yeah, still nothing regarding the Surface Pro. I tried again and again and again, but nothing, so I've just put that away. Now let's see how far we are and do a temperature test. So when we start doing that, we'll be about 15 minutes in. And oh my god, would you look at that? 93% on the Mac. We better quickly do that temperature test to see how warm it is. So I don't really have any pro software for this, so we're just going to have to see how it feels. So on the bottom, it feels relatively cool. It feels a bit warm, but just not too much. Like, I would kind of be... It's warmer than I would like it, but all computers are like this. And compared to other computers, there's nothing I'd be concerned about at all. The actual bit where the screen is, there's nothing at all there. And even on the top bit, so let me try to get this up without breaking it. If I do that, there we go. The heat is mainly concentrated around... Well, it even feels cooler now. I've lifted it, but just around this area here mainly. Here. Yeah, it's even cooler now though. Oh, and it's quite warm up here actually. That's the main area, to be honest. Damn, it's already exported. I couldn't even check the activity monitor. I know it's not that great, but we still can see some specs. So I'm actually going to have to export it again. Never did I dream of that. This time we'll try in, we'll still go 4K, 60 FPS. Here we go, exporting. Now it says 13 minutes, 14 minutes, so it'll be around there. Let me just reposition everything. So it finished at 16 minutes in. 16 minutes it took to finish that. To be honest, I'm not too sure what all this means, but that's what it says here at the moment. And then here's like a graph of our usage. So, oh, okay, this is our disk. If we go to our CPU, that's why I was confused. Okay. So it says here that I'm pretty sure that means we're only using, well, right now like 19% system and user. I think. Oh, so normally we're using 4%, and I'm using 16%, I believe. That's how much I'm using. That's not much at all. And then GPU, we're using 66% of our GPU. Okay, it actually shows us. I don't understand how it's possible for Premiere Pro to be using 116% of our CPU, but whatever. And GPU says 70%, but that's not correct here, so who knows, whatever's going on. RAM-wise, we're getting about the same readings. It just says this, which I'm also not too sure what that means. Just memory used. I really don't know, to be honest. It says memory used by Premiere Pro. It's 3.3 gigabytes of RAM out of 16. So yeah, that's all right. Energy 12-hour P. I think it maybe say performance. It says 47. I don't know if it would use 47% of battery in that time, or I really don't know what that would mean, to be honest. And then if we go to disk, it just says, well, it's going to be loading, but let's see. Nothing. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, that's handy. So battery in the last 12 hours, and then remaining charge, time remaining, time on battery. I don't get what that means. Time remaining, 127 time on battery. Maybe it means 127 if I'm doing the same rate, and then 247 I could, if I extended it somehow. I really don't know. But yeah, with regards to the MacBook, it barely broke out a sweat. It wasn't warm at all, and it just took, well, a little bit of time still, but not long at all compared to this. I think it was just the write speed of it. It's nothing to do with the GPU or the RAM or the CPU, anything like that. Let's see, because we finished at 16 minutes in, so let's see how far we are, so that we can determine how many more we could do in that time. Okay, we're actually 22 minutes in and we finished at 16 minutes. So we're basically adding 1/4 or 20% onto that. So let's think, if we do 20%, take a quarter. So we would be at about 20% when that finished. When the Mac finished, we were about 20% here. So basically we could do it 5 times on the MacBook. It was 5 times faster on the MacBook, or we could do it 5 more times, export that, and it will take the same time on here to do that. So that's a very big difference, and yeah, obviously that's faster. So I'm trying to access Device Manager. Of course, it's just totally glitched out. It's not responding like at all. Oh, here, still nothing now. There we go, a little bit. So if we go to, okay, here we go. So CPU's being used. Well, it was 100%. Now it's lower down to 90. Back up about 100. Memory's being 88. Disk is 20, and the network's low. Power usage very high and very high, all on the reds. But yeah, the CPU's full on. The i5. That's a DDR3, which is quite low. The GPU we're not using any of which at all now. I'm not too sure entirely why. I'm pretty sure it did before. The GPU is much worse than the CPU is compared to other things. So yeah, if you're doing something like that, it wouldn't be running at all. And the reason it's at like 98%, it's being 98% used, but it's throttling down to 98%. It's not, oh, it has the capacity to do it. It doesn't have the capacity to do it. It's just lowering down to 98 temporarily. So it'll be normally operating at 100. Like, look, it's on 97%. So if we were to let it run, yeah. So yeah, I'm deciding to terminate the computer thing now. After letting it go for a bit longer, it'll take about an hour and a half. If we were to keep it going through the whole thing, or even longer potentially if it started slowing down or throttling and getting too warm or something like that.